You're good and fired up.
All right. Welcome.
Welcome.
Hi, Travis.
Hello, Michael. Why are you so fired up today?
So many good things going on. Bill Barr just breaking news. Bill Barr just resigned.
Really? I didn't see that. Like just the second?
Just a second. Yeah, actually, there was a knock on the podcast studio door, just as we were starting with an update from my assistant. Oops. I mean, my wife. That's going to cost me. And then right now, as we speak, the California legislature, the California electors are casting their 55 votes for Joe Biden, making him the next president of the United States.
Well, you'd like to think that California is going to take credit for putting him over the edge, but I think he had the numbers regardless.
Well, but it's California's numbers that are actually putting him over the top.
I know. I hate that that's true, but you won't get any argument from me.
Yep. So that all of that stuff makes it a good day for me.
So what's with the Bill Barr thing? He just announced it or tweeted or what?
Yeah, I have no details because I was in here talking with you pre-show production stuff, and and Debbie poked her head in the door and said, "Hey, Bill Barr just resigned." So,
and what do you make of that? I mean, kind of not a big deal, in the sense that his career is pretty much over anyway.
I hope it's over. Oh my God, I think that Bill Barr probably decided he took enough crap off of Donald Trump, and that it was time for him to disassociate himself from the anti-democratic maneuvers that Trump is making, and whatever else happens between now and the 20th of January, could be ugly, because there's no indication to me whatsoever that Trump has any intention of toning it down or starting to work toward a peaceful transition. It's just one more batshit crazy thing after another. And frankly, once the votes are certified, or whatever you call this today, further talk about the election being rigged or unfair or stolen are frankly seditious. And I don't say that with hyperbole. I mean, seriously, here's the thing. Pro-democratic parties need to stand up and state their positions to remain pro-democratic parties. Otherwise, they're part of the seditious activities that are going on now. So from this point on, his rhetoric is not just Donald Trump horseshit. It's seditious, dangerous, treasonous nonsense. And we as a country, political parties, however you want to look at it, it's time for us to rise up and say, hey, knock it off or suffer the consequences. There was,
as you were informing us of the breaking news about Bill Barr, I was just checking a feed, and there was a representative out of, I think it was Michigan, who was just on the news saying that, you know who I'm talking about? This guy.
I do.
He's left the Republican Party, and he's now formally informed the House that he wants to be an independent because he's had enough of the bullshit. And he was citing...
Is this a U.S. congressman?
Yes.
Or was this a Michigan state legislator?
Well, now that you say that, I thought it was a U.S. congressperson.
I think it's maybe a Michigan state. Here's what I know happened earlier in the day. So Michigan they had to close down the Capitol because of the stupid gun-toting what are you referencing? Militias.
They had to close it a couple of times. Are you talking about the kidnapping plot?
Yeah. Well, today they closed it because there was a credible threat of violence from one of their many gun-toting militias out of control out there in Michigan. So they closed the whole thing down. And so there was a Republican state legislature that said, hey, in an hour, there was a big surprise coming and, there was going to be this one last big thing. Anyway, it was interpreted as a threat of violence. So they took him and stripped him of all his committee positions and so forth in the state,
So
and expelled them.
The Michigan state congressperson was in favor of the protests and the violence, so they stripped him of his.
Yeah, well, he said that in an hour he had an announcement from the Trump camp that was going to blow the lid off this whole thing. They think he's nuts, and they think
what was the announcement? Like was the smoking gun?
No, it was they have associated that with a credible threat of violence from one of the many militias there in Michigan. So the dude, all wrong.
The
all
dude
bad.
I'm referring to, though, is it the same guy? Because I'm referring to a guy who now is so fed up with the claims of the Republicans backing stories of election fraud that he's now leaving the Republican Party. And I think,
yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
this is
No,
like
that's
in the
different.
last hour. Yeah, so but this guy I think referenced the Michigan thing because he said something. He's from Michigan, so I could have this all wrong. But listen, what would be the fun of the podcast if we're correct all the time?
Yeah, we're not. This ain't politically correct couch funeral. This is just say it as you feel it. Well, that's good. I will say that it is a little effing late for any Republican.
I'll take it though. I'll take any more.
Grow a set of balls.
I'll take any of the converts I can get over to my side of the thinking, which is using your brain as an independent. You fuckwads.
We'll take that.
So,
oh my God, so
he
much.
He said something
crazy.
about violence though, and Michigan is an interesting place because they've been in the news quite a bit. They're because of their governor and the lockdowns, but they had this whole kidnapping plot a couple of months back. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, Michigan's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania is right underneath those two, right? It's a lake water. Something's wrong with it.
I think it's lake water, but also I think there's lead in the water. And
lake water.
I don't know what it does. But what is, you were telling me before we came on, as I'm looking at you in your sexy man robe, what's with the boil on your neck? What happened?
I guess, how do I explain this? I'll just give you what the doctor told me. So
are we doing some strangulation techniques? Is that what happened? Something go wrong?
So some kind of cell got infected on my neck, skin cell, and it got infected, and then it blew up to the size about, let's be realistic. I'm going to say half the size of a golf ball stuck in my neck. And so it's been like that. It slowly started to increase in size from, say, like this time last week. So for
I didn't notice it before
6-7 days. Yeah. And so over the last 3 or 4 days, it really got bad. And I spent, the last 4 days trying to make it reabsorb into my body.
What does that look like? How do you do that?
Well,
massaging
sometimes you can get these things to reabsorb by putting hot compresses on them. And sometimes that works, but this time it didn't work. And so it woke me up at 3:45 this morning out of a dead ass. I mean, that's the time I'm sleeping the hardest, right? So it woke me up with shooting pain this morning. So
3:45 in the morning or 3:45 in the afternoon.
Either one. Morning.
I'm just teasing you.
Well, trust me, I was thinking about taking a complete sick day today, but to go get this done. But I got up and we took some aspirin, and it calmed down a little bit. And when I got up at 7, it was just hurting so bad. The close urgent care for my medical group's close by. So I went over there at 8:00. I was the first one in. I was out there by 9:30. He lanced it. It hurt like.
Do they numb you? I assume.
Well, here's the thing, right? They put some lidocaine on the surface, and then stuck a needle.
Is that what they use in The Princess Bride? Oh no, that's iocane powder.
Okay. You could have just put cocaine on it. As far as I'm concerned, it would have been fine. But they put the lidocaine on there. He took a needle and he shot some shit into it, and it hurt like hell. It was a sharp.
I can imagine.
It was a sharp pain that went on for about 30 seconds. And then the rest of the procedure was all pain too, but it was more of compared to the putting that needle in the middle of this boil and shooting.
Is that what is that what it's called, the boil?
It is called a boil or an abscess, or you can call it. It's a cyst.
Do you watch Dr. Pimple Popper?
I do. But this is not fat.
So does it ooze out, or is it cut out in one piece?
I couldn't see it, and I can't see it.
Were you not watching?
What Dr. Pimple Popper deals with a lot is
cysts,
a lipoma, right? Lipomas, which are big, like a sack of fat grows in a certain place, and it's kind of self-contained, and it looks easy on the show, right? But and this ain't the first one of these I've ever had. So I had one on the other side of my neck 20 years ago, and it was a nightmare then, and this was similar. And right now, it doesn't feel like it's much smaller. So here's the really gruesome part. So he goes, hey, I don't know how much this is going to hurt, but I need to push on this to try to get the pus out. And I'm like, look, compared to sticking that fucking needle in the middle of that thing,
right?
This numb pain from you pushing on it, which is substantial, I can take it. So just do it. Get as much out. I thought it was going to be flat, right? But I'm not really touching it, but it still feels like there's a pretty good ball in there. So, but here's the really gross part. So he made an incision so he could get the pus out of it, right? And then he explained this to me. He goes, hey, this is the part you're not going to like. I go, well, this is the part I'm not going to like. Okay, go for it. What is the part I'm not going to like? I got to put a wick in it. And then I need you to come back tomorrow so I can take the wick out, right? So
you're oozing and seeping right now?
Well, I don't know, because I've got it covered up with a pretty good sized bandage here. But there's a candle wick coming out of it. And I go, well, so is it going to wick it out? Is it going to come out through the wick? And he goes, well, not really. It's just keeping the hole I made open so it doesn't close up on itself, so that if more pus develops, it can get out without just
without killing you, so it oozes out overnight.
This is close to there's a nerve in there too. So anyway, tomorrow I got to go back, and so it's going to be an all-day medical thing tomorrow. Tomorrow I got dentist and go back to the urgent care. And
do you want to inform our listeners of what's going on with your wooden teeth? Do you have are you getting those replaced tomorrow, or what are we doing?
I'm going to have them. I'm going to get a mouthful of Pledge. And we're gonna shine them up.
All right,
just getting a tooth cleaning, but it's important. With so
did you get your tooth back? Because when you had the wooden tooth incident, they were making a temporary tooth for you. Are you all fixed up now?
Okay, no, none of that's true. That's not.
Well,
correct.
You know what I mean when you had the tooth pulled out and they put the one tooth in.
Yeah, I have one tooth that replaces two, so it's large. I haven't bitten my tongue recently, so I'm going to speak to the dentist about it when I see her tomorrow, because every once in a while I bite the holy living crap out of the left side of my tongue, because it's a little bigger than the original teeth, because they want to give me a lot of surface to chew
to
my
bite.
tooth. Yeah, so it's been great. I can eat vegetables raw or cooked or whatever. That's been the main thing. And if I can just keep my tongue from getting caught in between there, it's all good. If it happens during this podcast, you're going to know it. I'm going to cry like a little baby.
So what will you do with the boil now? Will you take it home and smoke it, put a little salt and pepper on it, or what are you going to do with
the boil?
Yeah. Did they give it to you?
No,
put it in a jar?
It's still in there. I was hoping it was gonna. I mean, I don't know. Do you watch Pimple Popper?
Yeah, occasionally. I've seen it.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping they were gonna pull something out of my neck, and it was gonna, all the pressure's gonna be gone. But if I just even move my neck 10 degrees in any direction, it hurts. So I think it's gonna be uncomfortable all the rest of today and tonight. I'm looking forward to that. And then tomorrow, I'm just gonna head. I got an 8:30 dentist appointment, so I'll go to the dentist. I'll get that done. Then I'll go over to the urgent care and
get your wick out. Did you have to
get this done? Right?
Any observations with going to the urgent care in the world of COVID? There's a lot of people there?
So I went there at 8:00. I was the very first person in. Although I think from the time they took me in, I think someone came in with a more pressing need. So they did take somebody before me, but then after that, I was the next person. So yeah, there was no long line or anything, that was good. This clinic is they are not taking anybody with flu, cold, or COVID type symptoms. They have another clinic in Fullerton. And so they told that, and we checked this out online, because in the past we've been able to make appointments at this urgent care. Say, hey, I got to come in today. All right, well, come in at 12:30. It's 8:00 in the morning. Come in at 12:30. Well, and then you probably won't have to wait more than a half an hour once you get here. Otherwise, you're there from 8 in the morning
all day,
12:30. Yeah, but it's not that crowded today. So I'm hoping tomorrow isn't much different. And they've got there's nobody in there, with snot and coughing and all that stuff. There was.
But what did they screen you, or you just fill out the questionnaire?
They asked me all the questions, and first I told them I had everything. They ask you all the questions, right? Do you have this? Do you have that? And yes, I have it all. I have everything.
I have all these ailments. I'm fucked. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Fix me.
And their eyes got big, and I said, I'm kidding. That's all the humor I had at 7:45 this morning. 8:02, I guess, was when I went up there. And this is. It's funny because this clinic is the first place I got a face mask at the beginning of COVID. So back in February, as we were getting ready to leave for Hawaii, Debbie came down with a real nice case of the flu. And so we went there. COVID was just starting. And so
any reason to think at all that was early COVID?
What Debbie had?
Yeah.
No, don't think so. She never really didn't have any of the COVID symptoms, and
now remind me, do you guys get the flu vaccine normally?
We do.
You do? Yeah.
Well, I've been getting it the last couple of years, and Debbie has gotten it now. I don't think she had it at that point last year, right? So we were concerned because we were 2 weeks out from going to Hawaii, which was the end of February, right? The 29th. So she thought she better go in and just get checked. So they swabbed her. It was, it was just the flu. And so she got better and everything. But they had the masks out there. And I just literally stole a couple and took them with me, right? So they already had them out. That wasn't their common practice. They weren't going through all the screening shit. None of that had started. But they had masks. And there were people sitting in the waiting room wearing masks, which I had never seen before. So that was the first place and the first mask I grabbed onto. So I had those two masks and used them for the first month or so of the pandemic. Now, they're one-time use masks, so that wasn't pretty. But it's all over now. So anyway, it's good. They've got a pretty good system. They got me in real quick. They're being careful, and I felt fine inside there. Right, the doc had a mask, and I think it was fine. So.
Well, and, positive news today, the first story you saw of the first official COVID vaccine administered here in the U.S., a nurse in New York.
I did see that. She looked pretty happy about it.
We're well on our way.
Yeah. Well,
why did the needle, you see these pictures of the needle, and it's, I'm assuming no different than a regular flu shot or any other shot that you get at the doctor. Big. It looks big, and it looks like the skin is like totally rejecting the needle. It's like, fuck.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Well, hey, after today, it sounds like a walk in the park.
I saw that. I'm like, hey, take your mask off. COVID's over. Vaccine's here.
So, we talked a while ago about Amazon taking over the healthcare experience, right? So my pharmacy is 12 miles from here or something. So, it's up in Fullerton. So it's not close to my house at all. It used to be on my way to and from someplace a long time ago. And so I've been getting it there for a long time. Been unhappy. So like we talked about when we talked about Amazon taking over healthcare, and like all businesses that are ripe for disruption and innovation, I'm part of the class of everybody else that's just unhappy with their pharmacy service. So, it's Monday. My neck hurts like shit. I go up to get this done. I got to get I got to take a week's worth of antibiotic. And so they called that into that pharmacy. I'm 2 days from getting my regular batch of refills, right? I have 2 pills left for each of the medicines I take. And so I need those in 2 days. So I come back, I call them. I call the pharmacy. I say, hey, you're this is 9:45, right? And he says, I says, well, first off, he puts me on hold. I'm literally on hold for 15 minutes. So
that's not very long in today's world.
Is it? No, it's too fucking long for me. I can tell you that. So
you have 2 pills left.
Yeah, 2 pills left. I wait 15 minutes. I get the guy on the line, and not happy about the wait, but I explain the situation. Hey, got this prescription, should already be there. My regular round is gonna be due in 2 days. I want to see if you can whip those up and get that ready to along with this, so I can come up this morning. This is 9:30, so I'm giving them 3 hours, right?
Well, well beyond the standard 20-minute fill time. Should have no issues with that.
Just flat out says no.
He told you no?
Nope. And no. We got somebody didn't come in. It's really, really busy. Blah, 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 blah. Excuse. And I'm just like, hey, I understand. No problem.
This is on your refill, right? That you would normally get in 2 days.
My
anyway?
refill. Yeah. And I says, well, how about, all right. I go, okay. All right. You know what? I can wait till Wednesday to get my refills. I go, how soon can I come up and get my antibiotics so I can get situated? He goes, I don't know. I can't tell you. And I says,
how long have you been going there?
A long time.
You got to find a new
years.
pharmacy, dude.
No, well, story's not over.
All
so
right.
it is a happy ending. So anyway, he won't give me any kind of answer. He says, hey, we'll call you, when it's ready. I said, hey, okay, thanks. And so then I got off the phone. So then I called the CVS right down the street from my house. And this really nice gal at CVS just took all my information, transferred all my prescriptions. They were more than happy to do it. And then my antibiotic was ready within an hour to go pick it up.
See, that's the kind of service you need.
Yep. Fuck them. I just like, wow, dude, one of the reasons why I was going there was it was Arouse, right? It was part of my wife's, part of the company that my wife's benefits and things came from. And, but fuck them. It's just like, they don't want the business, right? I mean, oh my God, if I was the secret shopper, that guy would be so fired.
You know what they need though? You were trying to get a refill prescription done. Normally you get like what? 2 or 3 refills, 90 days, something like that. But shouldn't they, once you get approved, you have the doctor write you the script for the first amount. You go there, they, read you whatever they read, make sure you know how to do it, and they've checked off all their liability boxes. Shouldn't they just fucking mail you the refills when they're done? I mean, why?
Well, that will be Amazon. That will be Amazon.
But are they the only ones that can do it? I mean, why is this taking so long?
Well, I didn't really even explore it with them, right? I mean, it's like, I used to work in a pharmacy, so as I've probably told you guys a bunch of times, and so for me, getting my prescriptions filled at a supermarket is way off the course I would have chose for myself. I mean, I personally think you should be getting your medication from a pharmacist that knows your fucking name. And
yeah, but those businesses are few and far between these days on any type of industry, though, right?
The insurance wouldn't pay for it, right? I mean, they wouldn't. I had a pharmacy like that. It was right in the building where my doctor was, right? I could get my doctor appointment. I could go in. I could go downstairs, and Jim, the pharmacist, could fill my shit and give it to me on the way out.
But are you saying that's how you used to feel, or that's how you feel now?
No, that's how I used to do it. I mean, when but then so here's the thing. There was a time I wasn't on the company insurance, right? And I had a different kind of insurance. In fact, I had an HSA. So
the guy in the trench coat on the corner, that kind of insurance?
Yeah, no, that was a different supply. And so, I would just go down there and buy there was no insurance involved. And then I would buy it, and then we would pay ourselves back out of our health savings account. That was the insurance we had. But then when I went on the company insurance, that all changed, and they're like, oh no, you can't do that. You have to go to a bigger pharmacy. So, all right, we moved it all over to Rouse because Debbie was still working there then, right?
When you think about prescriptions and how this whole system works, you can buy shit illegally online from all over the world, Russia, India, Canada, and
mostly counterfeit,
Yeah, isn't it all counterfeit?
No.
Well, here's where I'm going with this.
And India is a good place, but they make pharmacies.
India is more reputable than Canada.
Well,
we've done enough Canadian bashing in the last couple of weeks.
We don't know anybody that's Canadian, do we?
Yeah, we know a person or two.
Do we? I don't.
But we have these drug commercials in this country. I'm assuming they're in other countries too, but they're like little movies, right? These drug commercials.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of these large pharmaceutical companies have recently settled for these massive lawsuits because people, like the OxyContin people, right? You get addicted to that, and then you get to sue everybody, which is a whole other story. But here's what there's the relationship between the drug manufacturers, and they're marketing to us on TV by these mini movie commercials. But we really can't buy the drugs from them. We have to go to a doctor who evaluates us, looks up our symptoms on Google, and then writes us a prescription. So where does the liability stand? Shouldn't it really be, in that example, the doctor who's releasing the script to us?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you can hold the television, provider that's putting the commercials on. I mean, there was a time
you can hold Samsung, the maker of my TV, accountable, according to some democratic policies.
Can I hold Luger, the maker of your gun, accountable?
According to some, yes.
Yeah. I mean, my personal opinion would be, after having been in that industry for a short period of time, there's no place for advertising for prescription drugs. It's a huge mistake, but there you are seeing simply in just unabashed abuse of power by big pharma to get advertising for prescription medications on television. It's just wrong all the way around. Plus,
they shouldn't be allowed to advertise?
No, they absolutely should not. There's no reason to advertise on television.
Well, here's the reason. You
can't go buy it.
Well, that's the reason they advertise, so that when you see a commercial for something you like, whether it's dick pills or your heart's not going to explode, you go to your doctor and you say, "Give me the dick pills because I want to be like that dude in the commercial and bang these hot looking 50-year-old broads."
That should not be the case.
So then the doctors, they write the prescription because they need to make money, and I'm assuming they're getting a kickback from the drug companies.
Because we're a pain in the ass.
They want us to go away. It's like, here's endless amount of dick pills. Leave me alone. Don't come back for 6 months.
Have you heard over the years how antibiotics are not as effective as they used to be? How we're running out. We're becoming immune to antibiotics. It's kind of like there's an analogy in our
why
industry.
Because we take so much of them.
Well, I mean, we become immune to a lot of antibiotics because they're given much too frequently, and then we end up not taking them all, which causes resistance, right? So this is very familiar in the insect world, right? And so subclinical doses, sublethal doses that leads to stronger viruses or stronger bacterial infections. None of these antibiotics don't have anything to do with viruses, but antibiotics. So when you don't kill the bacteria, all that bacteria, you don't take all of them. They give you 20 and 10, 2 a day for 10 days, and you take them for 5 days and go, I feel better,
and I'll sell the
rest. I'm
going to
save them. Yeah,
save them.
Okay, yeah, you're fucking that up. You've now killed a whole bunch of bacteria in your body.
Do you know why? Is because when they tell you, everybody fucking knows you're going to be better in 5 days, but they make you take them for 20 days, and they say, oh, by the way, don't drink any alcohol while you're on this shit.
That's not my problem.
And people are like, really? I'm cured in 5 days? You want me to wait 20 days before I can have my next cocktail? Fuck you.
Yeah. Here's a couple of things, right? So I've got the Billy pulpit here. So there is no such thing as symptomatic relief from antibiotics. So you have a cold, you have some kind of bacterial infection, whatever it is, it's going to get better. And
on its own,
taking the antibiotic. Well, I mean, it could turn into a worse bacterial infection.
Well, if you have a boil
on its own,
whatever you have.
Well, here's the thing: had I gone in a week ago when I first felt a little bump under the skin there, he said, "Hey, I could have put you on antibiotics, and we probably wouldn't be doing this today." So lesson learned today. But and I'm going to take, I've got 10 days worth of antibiotics here that I just got, and I'm going to take every single pill, no matter what, whether this thing goes away and completely heals up or not, because it's the way antibiotics work. You need to maintain a blood level for a certain period of time. And without that, you're likely to you're likely to have symptoms go away or decrease or something on their own, but then it may easily come back worse, especially especially when you're dealing with respiratory bacterial infections. So,
see, you sell yourself short because we often refer to you as Dr. Watkins, but I think you've earned that title.
Well, I surely think I know everything. So it was fun working in the pharmacy. I learned a lot of stuff. Go ahead.
No, and I mean, I know you have that background, so I'm only half joking when I say that, but when people go into the doctor and they say, give me this drug that I saw on TV, and then they later want to go and sue the drug company because they're dependent, or the family sues because they died, or whatever the hell the problem is, and you see these pharmaceutical companies who end up settling and get dragged into these lawsuits, but I never hear the doctors get brought in. Aren't they involved somehow if they're the ones writing the prescription?
Well, I mean, I guess, this is where I really don't have any expertise. Typically, lawsuits have to do with addictive drugs, and people want to go after the drug manufacturer, whoever makes OxyContin. I used to know the name of that drug, the name of the manufacturer.
Drug Lord.
I've forgotten right now. Drug Lord. But I think for most of the drugs that people take, they're not going to tie back anything bad to taking them. So if you are getting addictive pain medicine from a doctor who is prescribing it to you inappropriately, here's the problem, right? There are
Purdue
some
Pharma. That's who it is.
Purdue Pharma. That's right. Here's the thing. I think that they've proved many times over that Purdue Pharma was predatory. They knew this was an addictive situation. They knew what they were doing was wrong, and they did it anyway because they made billions of dollars.
Well, really, it's the same argument with cigarette manufacturers, right? Now they market to certain groups of people, certain neighborhoods. Really, where do you draw the line? This is kind of ripe for our discussions because it's right in with, who's the one ultimately making the decision.
So check this out. I've got a fucking boil in my neck that now has a hole in it that was done with a scalpel after sticking a needle in it. Do you think that maybe I need some pain medication to go along with this? You think I got any? Not a fucking thing. The guy goes, hey, he goes, now as far as pain medication, he goes, I could probably write you prescription strength Motrin.
And what the hell is that? That's like just extra Motrin.
That's a drug called ibuprofen.
Right. And that's instead of 4, take 6. That's extra Motrin.
It's 500 milligrams of Motrin. That's the same shit. In a former story I told you guys, that's the same pain medication that my dentist or my oral surgeon tried to give me when he tore the teeth out of my jaw. That's the same I take
every Saturday morning.
Well, for your jujitsu stuff, right? Yeah. Here's the thing. First off, ibuprofen, Motrin doesn't do shit. I don't feel anything when I take it. It's never helped me. The only kind of analgesic pain reliever that has ever helped me is aspirin. And when I take that, I usually get some relief no matter how bad the pain is, right? So he goes, hey, I can write you a prescription for, I can give you a prescription strength Motrin. I'm like, just keep it. I don't need it.
But if you had gone to, let's say it was a scheduled surgery or whatever you did, if it was scheduled, a lot of times they, before you go in, give you the prescription so you can fill it and you have it the day you come out, right?
Yeah, well, the last time, that's how it went with my tooth. When I had the cadaver bone put into my jaw to put in these implants, they sent me a prescription. He sent me out of the consultation meeting with a prescription for 500 milligram Motrin. Well, I know what that is, so I'm like, well, fuck this. I don't need this. And because I knew I had some Vicodin and stuff at home, and I used all that up the first day. Because it hurt like hell. And then here's the problem. So all of this mess with OxyContin and all of the addiction and all of the overdoses and all of that stuff that's been so widely and rightfully talked about and exposed, doctors, it's almost impossible now for them to give you a decent painkiller because
they're afraid.
Anything that has codeine in it or is a codeine synthetic or anything like that, they have got the big brother watching them. They've got to send in what they call triplicate prescriptions on all of that stuff. They're heavily monitored. They get questioned. If the tooth doctor starts handing out codeine or synthetic codeine on a regular basis, they're in his office going, "What are you doing?"
So did you ever get addicted to Vikes?
No, Vicodin. No, the only thing Vicodin barely even kills your pain. It does give you, does constipate the hell out of you. So yeah, I mean, I would, look, there's a lot of good pain medicine out there. Here's the bad problem though. For a lot of people, chronic back problems, pain after surgery, injuries, trauma, terrible. Injuries. Yeah. I mean, sometimes there is no there's no magic pain medicine that isn't addictive. The only ones that work are
alcohol.
Well, I should get extra Vicodin then. So the only ones that work are pretty addictive, right? And so some people have these conditions, and they're, really it's either live with the pain or become addicted. I mean, there's no good. And when the doctors finally do say, "Hey, I can't give you this anymore," or "It looks like you're addicted," that's when people go to the street and they just start buying heroin, because it's way cheaper and easier to get heroin than it is Vicodin.
So why were you saying though that the doctors aren't necessarily liable when they write these prescriptions? Why should it always be on the drug companies?
Well, I think that if I don't know much about this subject, to tell you the truth. I don't know that any big pharma has really been. I know that Purdue has been sued a few times for OxyContin. Other than that, I don't know of any. I mean, I'm sure there are lots of drug lawsuits, but doctors have a little something they like to call malpractice insurance, which covers all of that.
Well, you don't think big pharma has insurance too?
I'm sure they do.
And layer upon layer of lawyers.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's just, I don't think that I don't think there's a whole lot of that in lawsuits going on. I don't think a lot of pharmaceutical companies are being sued by users, because I don't think it's particularly successful, to be honest with you.
It's just interesting that the chain, how it works. Again, the drug companies market to us. We go to the doctor and say, "Give me that." The doctor says, "Here you go. Here's what you asked for." And then we can't handle our shit, and we get addicted, and then they cut us off, and we get pissed off, and we buy it on the black market, and then we sue the drug companies.
It all sounds like pain medication to me. I mean, I don't think when you're going in for the psoriasis meds that's what's happening, right?
So with this Amazon thing, you were talking about market disruption. Will they be able to do? I mean, where do they get involved? Are they going to be part of the refill process where they can make deliveries on already approved prescriptions?
Trust me, I almost called them today, because now I switched my stuff over to CVS and it's close by. We'll see how it works. They seem like nice people, they seem to want the business. So that's a huge for me. If you were doing me a goddamn favor, when I call you and try to get you to do a service for me or, something, it's like, but they were quite, "Hey, we'll call your doctor. We'll get it for you. No problem. They'll have it for you today. Have your refills for all your regular stuff on Wednesday." Amazon, I mean, I'm not signed up with Amazon. What's it going to be? Prime Healthcare? Something like that. Right. So when that all gets in place and I know what's going on with it, then I would probably, the next time something like this would happen, I would probably just say, "Yeah, no, send the prescription to my Prime Health."
Well, I think the thing, it's got to somehow link to your main pharmacy, your doctor, or something, to where you log into your Amazon, whatever you just called it, pharmacy, health, whatever.
Let's call it Prime Healthcare.
Yeah, Prime Healthcare. Because even now, I mean, I buy some vitamins and things on Amazon, regular, dietary supplements, and you have an option of doing, a one-time purchase, or you set it up on an auto refill every 30 days or whatever.
Well, here's how this is probably going to work in the future. You're going to sign up for Prime Healthcare, right? And they're going to send you a starter package, and in there is going to be a couple of pee cups, some other litmus tests, maybe a COVID test, a couple of COVID tests, a few things like that. Some things you're going to need so that you won't have to wait for them to send it to you when you do need some type of medical service.
So it's some type of pre-screening. We've determined that, you're not allergic to this medicine or whatever. And then based on your medical screening report,
you give them permission to access your medical files from your health
provider. You do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're okay with them having access to all that shit?
They have it already. You know what was really weird? I called CVS, right? Just looked at the phone number on my phone. Just what do you call it? What's the little internet connection on an Apple phone? It's
Safari.
Safari, right? So I just, did it ass backwards and typed in CVS.
Did you type it in the long way like you do? Where is the nearest CVS from where I, Michael Watkins, am standing right now?
This one, I was in a lot of pain, so this one was a little shorter. So I typed it in, and the gal answers, and I go, "Hey, I'd like to. I have a prescription that was just called into a Rouse pharmacy, and I have several other prescriptions there, and I'd like to get them all transferred to your store." And she goes, "Okay,
you say it like that, all nice and sexy, so they didn't get pissed off?
She was nice, and she goes, "Okay, Michael, so your birth date's 7/31/56," and I'm like, how do you know that?" She goes, "Well, it comes up here on the phone."
Well, that's good too, because I'm not cutting that out of this episode either. So,
yeah. Oh, 7/31/56. I don't give a shit. That's fine. Yeah. Here's my social security number.
741.
Wish I had somebody else's I could think of right now. Yeah. So, anyway, so that kind of freaked me out.
That is a little
big
wild,
brother.
Huh?
Yeah, it came up on her display, but I've never bought anything at CVS, right? I've never had a prescription filled. But then it turned out that she goes, "Well, it does look like we have a file on you." I'm like, "What?" And I guess Debbie got something filled there because, this Rouse pharmacy in Fullerton was too far away. So anyway, it was a good experience. We'll see how it goes. But I'll have no trouble switching over to Amazon. I mean, I think that we've talked about this. I think that, 90% of the time that I go see a doctor, it's a complete waste of time. I think it would be better for me to go on my Prime Healthcare, say, "Hey, I want a drug panel. I want a blood panel." Right. And then I want to talk to a doctor, and whether they hook me up with my doctor or they have their own doctor, I don't really care.
So from your former experience as a pharmacist,
yeah,
I mean, I was
a pharmacist.
It's a while ago, but do you think most people are allergic to most medications, or is that just a CYA kind of thing?
Nobody's allergic to most. What does that mean? Why would you say that?
Well, I say that because shouldn't you just be able to buy what you want? Like call up and say, "Give me this, 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 and this," and if it kills
you will kill yourself.
You think so?
Oh yeah, I mean, prescription medications are by prescription, for reasons, because they have they have dangerous when you mix them together, and you have.
But isn't it just based on the honor system? Like you go to the doctor and it's like, "Listen, everything in that fucking cabinet behind me is dangerous. So if you lie to me on this questionnaire, you're going to kill yourself. Can you handle that?" Yes.
But you can't lie to them to get anything that's fun. I mean, you could make up a bunch of shit and end up with some medication that will cross, interact incorrectly and take you down, but you won't have any fun on the way.
No, I know.
They look, these guys know how to pick out a drug seeker a mile away.
But I'm asking you as a former pharmacy professional, is there any... Even
that is a stretch.
The sample packs. If you take the sample packs, is it really
from the doctors?
Yeah.
I've had doctors give me sample packs, but doctors are supposed to know, right? And that all of your pharmacists actually have a doctorate, right? It's a 6-year program to get a pharmacy.
And doctorate. They're like English majors too, right? To be able to read that fucking writing. The scribble.
I can read it. That was part of the fun. I learned how to read that. Prescriptions are a combination of numbers, letters, abbreviations, and symbols, and it's pretty weird. I would have thought that it would have been possible, but by the time in the couple of years I worked there, there was no prescription I couldn't read, no matter how chicken scrawled it was. These guys really can't write worth a damn. So
you go in there, but I'm not saying like the drug seekers are looking to get a high, and so they go into the doctor and they lie. But like what's the one thing they always ask you? Are you allergic to? Is it penicillin? They still ask that on questionnaires. I don't fucking know. I really don't know.
You would know.
Well, how do I know?
Because it won't matter unless you've had it, and if you
I have no idea if I had it. Why would I need it? So in my lifetime, I really don't know if I'm
penicillin.
Allergic. I always say no because I don't know.
Didn't you get penicillin when you had the clap?
Yes, that was the one and only time.
Well, if it didn't kill you, you're okay.
Figure out what will kill me, and then just back it off a little bit.
Yeah. Sometimes it just kills a few brain cells. That's what I like to say.
I got enough of those to spare.
Yeah. That's all really good stuff, man. Those are good times working in the pharmacy. So, it's really, I don't have any personal problem with having to get prescriptions for stuff, right? And I can't even think of anything. I mean, when things don't need to be on prescription, they typically come off prescription, right? Because a long time ago, back when I worked in a pharmacy, Motrin was strictly a prescription painkiller, right? And it's no fun at all. I mean, you can't get high. It doesn't do shit. You can't take a whole bunch of it and kill more pain. It'll just make you sick. And it used to be, it was always called Motrin, right? It was always called Motrin, and the generic name for it is ibuprofen. And it's an analgesic painkiller.
And now Kirkland.
Right? And there's all these so I'm, again, I don't remember that much about it. Aspirin is really the wonder drug. I mean, if you buy Bayer aspirin, they put on the label the wonder drug, because aspirin really was a wonder drug. And it really, I mean, you take too much aspirin if you abuse it. I mean, it's hard on your stomach and this and that. And I suppose you could have an allergy to it. If you try to chug the whole bottle, you're going to hit the toxicity level on that, which is like, I don't know. I've got a slide somewhere in my safety stuff that tells you how much aspirin it takes to kill you. And,
is it too far out into my libertarian views to just simply say, if you want the medication that the guys on TV are selling me, I could just go ask for it and just get it? Like, can I get it from Amazon? Do I really have to go see the doctor? Is that too wild? Are we too far away from that?
I do not know what you can get online. I know there are drugs that should be on prescription that can be acquired online. I know that it's like a big priority with the DEA and stuff like that. I know that they sooner or later investigate all of those online things, but is it
because it's not safe, or is it because they want to regulate it? Like, is the Indian pharmacy, is it bad because it's just an Indian pharmacy, or can you, if you're in like the UAE, can you order shit from the Indian pharmacy? What's the disconnect?
Well, here's the deal. India, that's not an Indian pharmacy. India has a very large, reputable, competent pharmaceutical, industry, and they don't really give a flying fuck about our patents. So there are a lot of things you can get from big pharma in India.
Yeah, right.
Right.
But that's why I wanted to clarify. You're not saying it's dangerous because it's
not from India necessarily, because they want to be the next big supplier on the world stage, right? They're going to be providing COVID vaccines as soon as they can figure out how to copy it and steal the profits from the companies that bore the cost. So that part of it I don't like. But when you're buying medicines online that are supposed to be prescription, and here's what I've heard, and I don't have any empirical proof, that about 90% of the time those drugs are straight up counterfeits, and that's way more dangerous than taking drugs that are contraindicated. But I mean, you can easily kill yourself by taking medications that are contraindicated. That's really dangerous, right? I mean, digitoxin is a heart regulator. So but it's also a deadly ass poison, right? So if you take a little bit of digitoxin, regulates your heart rate. A little more kills you dead.
And you know what? I believe everything you're saying. If you would approach our conversations about politics the same way you're approaching this, Dr. Watkins, I'd believe everything you're saying.
I'm going to take that to heart and come at these things with a little more. What is it? Is it the sincerity? Is it the metered phrasing?
Maybe. I don't know. You really sound like you know what the fuck you're talking about.
Well, here's the problem. I kind of do. I mean, I've been talking about drugs and pharmacy and this stuff that was 70, that was 75, 76. Except from like 74, like 6 months out of high school until about 77, I worked in a pharmacy, and it was cool. I did everything. I counted the pills. I typed the prescriptions. I put them on the bottles. I wore a stupid white jacket. My hair was down to the middle of my back. so it was really funny. Got a lot of great stories
I
from
bet
the
you do.
pharmacy, right? Right. That wasn't a time when condoms you didn't have condoms sitting out on a rack in a 7-Eleven or a AM/PM or something. Oh, give me that comb, that ball of IW Harper, and that box of condoms. That's not how that went, right? It was like, so here's was my favorite, right? Here's my favorite. And everybody that knows me has heard this story. So this is for our listening audience that has come to the podcast. So back in the day, people would come in, I'd have my long hair, but my nice white coat, so they didn't know if I was a pharmacist.
Ponytail or no ponytail?
Just long ass hair, just parted
Never
on the
pulled
side.
It back.
Just down behind my ears, and then hanging down like a page boy, flipping up, and
Yeah.
It was long. It was way past my shoulders, right? Big
like
ass
Renaissance
button,
look.
long. Yeah, it was stupid. It was ridiculous. Someday on one of our
you got to give me a clip.
One of our mini social media sites I'll give you some pictures to put up. So people would come in and they go, yeah, I need to get some condoms. I'm sorry, what? I need to buy some condoms. Oh, condoms? Is that what you said? Okay. How many? 3 or 12, wet or dry, skins or latex?
You don't ask them the size, or did they make them in sizes back then?
They make them in size.
Excuse me, sir. Can you please turn around 360 here? Let me size you up. You'll need the smalls.
My favorite was when this. So this pharmacy I worked at was in Marina Del Rey. So, there were a lot of celebrities around there. There were a lot of nicely dressed people, nice looking women, business women in suits and this and that. This gal came in about 30. She was hot as a pistol and really super attractive. And she comes home and goes, yeah, I'd like a 30-day supply of condoms, please. And, she said it straight out, looked me straight in the eye. And I'm like, excuse me.
Red as a beet, I'm sure.
Yeah. I know, man. I'm like, oh my God.
You chub up when she said that?
I know. I had to get up behind the counter a little closer, right? Otherwise, it's going to be a problem. And so I'm like, okay, 30 day. Go. So, what are we talking about?
It just said it, sir. 30
Is
days.
That 12? Is that 12? Is that 36? What are we doing? So I think she said, well, is there 30? Does it come to you? Do they come like 30? Well, 36. They come 36 to a box. Oh, I'll take that. Okay.
Made your whole week,
Fantastic.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh my God. So many funny stories about that shit though.
You were the other story you were telling me, to switch gears for a second. You finished your book, your post-COVID world book.
I did.
Any
really
big
good book.
revelations?
This is the book by Scott Galloway. I just finished it. When did I finish it? Was it yesterday? Is this Monday?
You told me you loved everything about it because it basically reads exactly the way you think.
Well, I don't find anything in it I disagree with. Let's put it that way.
So which one of you weren't thinking?
Me. It's what it is I want to let it set in a little bit, and I want to reread a couple parts of it, and then we'll talk about it.
This is the market disruption guy, right?
Yeah.
What so obviously the conversation about pharmaceuticals and all that, but another industry I don't think we talked about that to me seems ripe for disruption. What about real estate and realtors? And sorry,
that sounds good to me.
Realtors,
yeah.
I have a lot of friends that are realtors, and it's.
Oh man!
But if you think about it, it's such a pain in the dick, to go through a realtor. And just the example I gave before about car sales, where you spend all day at the dealership, and then the finance guy fucks up the deal after you figure out how much you can pay for it.
Yeah.
When you sell a house,
just sent me a thing said they bought their car on Carvana.
That was Doug. Right, Doug?
He sold his car on Carvana, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that
So
what he said?
Doug can tell us that story. We're going to have him on the podcast, so he can tell us that story.
Yeah, but I think if so, real estate, right? Is it a good option for that? I mean, I think here's the criteria that I've learned from Scott Galloway for what's right for overpriced. So when an industry has been raising their prices without there actually being more value. So it's one thing if there's an industry and their service or product is more valuable in reality. It has more intrinsic value for whatever reason as time goes on, and they raise the price accordingly. Or scarcity might even, because that's part of supply and demand. But if you're just raising the fucking price on something, you have an industry and you're just raising the price, and there's no real reason, and because you don't have competition or whatever, that makes.
But think about real estate. Realtors historically, like when you sell your house, you pay the commission, and typically it's like 6%. And
yeah,
so,
so what's the product there? Is it the commission? I mean, what is it that they have? Are they raising? Have realtors gone from 6% to 8% to 10%?
No. And that's my point. Is the commission rate hasn't changed, and it's normally. I mean, listen, what's normal? But standard is like 6%. And then your agent gets half, then the other agent gets half, and then maybe there's brokers involved and all that. But that hasn't changed. But what has changed is the price of homes all across the country. And in California, real estate's fucking through the roof. But you have companies like Redfin who are kind of a market disruptor. And what they're trying to do is to entice people to list their homes with them for a 1% flat commission. And what I think has changed is the way people...
That would be a disruption.
It is. Well, and I don't know how big of a market share they have or what, but as far as disruption, what has changed is I think people's buying habits, because everybody goes online. And it seems to me, like, do you ever watch these shows, House Hunters, where people, people are going to look for houses, and the realtor takes them to, 3, 4 houses, whatever, and they show them around, and presumably these are houses that, met the criteria in the budget or whatever, but
right.
I've done a fair amount of, real estating in the last several years, buying, selling, all of that. Uh-huh. And I have never had a realtor show me something. I always find it and say, I want to buy this, or take me here, or I'm selling this. And
this sounds like you.
It does. It is like me, but I can't be the only one. And when you look at what's available to us online, I mean, you know everything about it. The pictures are great. The virtual 3D tours of the houses. Everything about the property history and the tax and all that shit. Do we really need realtors to house hunt?
We may not now, like we used to. I mean, used to be, only realtors had access to the, what do they call them?
MLS. Well, the MLS, the comps, and then, they had that little binder, and they would pull out that sheet that was always in black and white. And like,
there's no Zillow. There was
hang
no
on,
Zillow.
You can't have that.
I know that Debbie knows the value of every house on this block that has for sale sign. Well, in fact, she knows what every house on this block sold for.
Exactly. Right? Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin. There's even other apps. My brother-in-law has a crazy hunting app that you can... He uses it to try to find land that you can hunt. So like the original BLM wasn't Black Lives Matter; it was Bureau of Land Management.
Okay,
so you can look at
going there for a minute.
You can look at BLM land to see where it's unincorporated or wherever, but where you're allowed to shoot.
How much will he pay? Because I'll let him shoot. I'll let him hunt on my backyard. I mean, I got a half acre. So,
well, that's the thing.
Is that enough?
So check this out. On this app, which I think is free, he could hover over your house, and it actually shows the owner's name that's on the tax record. So between that and things like Zillow and Redfin, the owner's name, what the house sold for, all the history, the tax base, all that shit. So I mean, when you again, maybe I'm in the minority about how I buy and sell houses, but I would just think that when it's not like you're going to move to California and be like, oh fuck, I can't afford anything here. You've already done your homework. You've already looked.
I bought 2 houses, and the first one we didn't use a realtor. I bought it; it was for sale by owner, and I worked out.
Now, when was that, by the way? How long ago?
That was 1989,
and that probably was a lot more common back then.
I don't know.
I almost never see that anymore for sale by owner.
Yeah, and he wanted, he wanted some money more than, he wanted. So here, check it out. The interest rates were, I think we bought that house at 11. The interest rate was 11%.
That was in 89?
It had just been 22% the year before.
That's so fucking crazy.
Historically, 11 was, compared to what it had been the year before, 11 was cheap. Seems ridiculous now. I think we're refinancing our house down to, I think they're going to pay us 50 cents a month.
Right, exactly.
For the loan. And so so we bought that house. The guy wanted he wanted $5,000 more than it appraised for, and I gave it to him because I wanted the house. It was the house I wanted. I got emotional, but everything else went fine. I had a real estate friend, a realtor friend, supply me some generic paperwork, so we didn't do this on the back of a napkin or something. The guy that sold the house,
was
he
this
would have.
Indian paperwork?
That
generic?
That's not from India. It's not the generic counterfeit paperwork. So yeah, so we did that one that way. And then the house I live in now was also not a house that I went to a realtor and said, hey, find me a house. This was a house that was a short sale. And so there was some kind of list of short sales, and somebody else turned us on to this particular place, and it was,
but not a realtor. You had other sources.
We had other sources that I'm not going to name here, but somebody else that knew how to find listings for short sales, and then we went to a realtor and paid him a little less because all the work was done. We made an offer on it. He worked with the bank a little bit, and boom, we bought it. It was pretty easy. So yeah, my experience with realtors has been pretty minor. When that first house I bought, I couldn't sell it when I bought this house because, hey, you can never go wrong with real estate until you go wrong. And I paid $200,000 for it. I couldn't sell it for
Well, you can never go wrong with real estate, but you can go wrong on how long you live to hold on to that real estate before you can sell it.
When you try to sell it, yeah. So I couldn't get 130 for it, so I had to, get some renters in. So I didn't want to mess around with the renters, so I got a hold of a real estate agent in the city, and I said, hey, if you can find me renters, then I will come to you for sure when it's time to sell this house, which I did. I had renters in there for 5 or 6 years. She found them. She vetted them. We offered it to them. They didn't want it. We put it on the market, sold it in a week. And I don't know, we gave her the commission, whatever. I don't remember doing any hard negotiating with her. And it was good. So yeah, I haven't used realtors as much as possible. And I did have a friend that was in the business back then that made me feel comfortable, going direct. But yeah, maybe it is, because here's the thing. I mean, they haven't raised their percentage, hasn't gone up.
No, but it's all tied to how, yeah. And especially in a market like California, but all over the U.S., prices have gone up. They've gone up, I think, in general this last year. They're forecasted to continue to go up next year. But I mean, it's
don't they take less? Don't they take less now than they used to because the prices?
Well, some do.
So
yeah,
high?
Some do. And again, I have a lot of friends who are realtors, and after this comment, I have a lot of former friends.
You used to have a lot of
you
used to have a lot of customers that were realtors.
But I've had realtors, and again, they have to split it. So you're paying the commission for both sides. So they can't do it for nothing because the person, the buyer, they have an agent and they got to be paid. But I've had agents who discount the total fee, 5%, 4.5%, 4% total on the deal. But then they got to disclose that to the other side, and they want to know how much or how little they're going to get. But it just seems to me that these days that would be, I think, an industry totally ripe for disruption because, everything's online, everything's instant. If you could do the paperwork online, just here's this house, click this button, I want to make an offer, let me DocuSign these illegal generic Indian paperwork, and then let me have the keys.
If you don't think that's a well-known, of course, going to be more well-known now, but I mean, the key thing to disruption is customer satisfaction and unbridled increases in prices. So when prices go up for no apparent reason, the valuation is not really there. And when the customer satisfaction associated with an industry is bad, that's an industry that's ripe for disruption, right? And you're seeing it all over the place.
Well, how do you then, I mean, you're right, but a lot of what you're saying is driven by the consumer, right? If the consumer's not happy with the experience, if the consumer isn't happy with the price, is there a way to manipulate other industries into market disruption? Like I'm not a consumer of cycling or cycling gear or cyclists or any of that shit, but I would like to disrupt. I would like to disrupt that market.
Are you talking about like Peloton and
actual bikes
and
on the
kind
road.
Of stuff? Oh, like, bicycles on the road?
Yeah, and have less of them. How do we do that?
Use your jet truck and take them out as you go down your neighborhood.
There was a story.
streets.
I think there was a guy in a box truck going to Vegas. Did you see this story?
Uh-uh.
And there was a group of cyclists. I think there was 5 of them or more. And I think they were celebrating one dude's retirement, and this guy in a box truck ran him over.
Wow.
I don't know if it was on purpose or not.
I saw somebody freak out in the midst of some kind of not protest or demonstration or something, and I think it was an old lady, and she freaked out when they kind of got around her car, and she freaked out and hit the accelerator and just ran 20 of them over in a heartbeat. And it was all on camera. It was like, oh, they're flying through the air.
That was because she was old and shouldn't be driving?
Probably, most likely. And easy now, starting to resemble that remark.
What age do they take your license?
They don't take your license.
They don't?
Ever. No.
That's fucking crazy.
Nope. Yeah, I think so.
Shouldn't they take it at like 60 something?
Mine should never be taken, and sure as fuck not at 60.
See if you're paying attention.
And but there is a limit. I mean, we had to go to Debbie's mom's doctor and ask her to do it for us. Hey, we need you to tell her that she can't drive anymore. She goes like, well, what's wrong? We go, because she sucks at it, and she's gonna kill herself or somebody else. She goes, okay, good enough.
But if she knocks over a couple of cyclists, are you okay with that?
I am.
I know, right? It's funny because it seems to me like there's an increase in cycling since COVID. Maybe it's because one of the few things you can do, outdoors. But these guys are so fucking entitled with their skinny little, shorts and those stupid little shirts they're wearing, all like they are part of a team. And they're all like, you weren't in that race. You weren't in the Tour de France or whatever fucking shirt you're wearing. And then they cut in front of you in their little pack and they get to the green light.
I know.
And they're slow to take off.
Turns out to be a lying piece of shit, right? What was his name? The guy that won 20 Tour de France, and then it turns out he was a juicer.
Oh, the Lance Armstrong?
Lance Armstrong.
Yeah, but they were all juicers back then.
Were they?
I think.
Well, apparently he was the juiciest.
I don't know. I mean, it just seems like those guys have no regard for the road. They make their own rules. I mean, if you're in the street, you're supposed to follow the fucking rules of the road like a car. You got to stop at the stop signs and the red lights, and you can't cut people off. But it's like a hybrid between how cars drive, crazy cars, and then motorcyclists who split lanes and get in front of you and all that. But at least they can accelerate at the green light and get out of your way.
I'm seeing a lot of people around my neighborhood riding around on electric bikes.
I see a lot of that too.
Right? So I'm like, well, I'm not sure what the point is.
And a lot of the people you see riding those bikes, you clearly take a look at them. They should be walking, based on the look at some of these people. Come on. They're supposed to be healthy.
Yeah, I know. I
feel sorry for some of those seats.
Oh, my God. And the other thing I'm starting to see around my neighborhood, and I don't like this, is people driving their golf carts on the street like they're cars. Hey, this ain't Palm Springs. Okay.
Well, maybe if they've registered them, it's legal.
Off my street.
Do they have license plates?
No, I don't think so.
You can register a golf cart. You have turn signals and a mirror and a license plate, and think you're good.
But what if it doesn't go over 25 miles an hour?
Well, this is California. What goes over 25 miles an hour?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I think the speed limit in the neighborhood is 25 miles an hour.
See, it's legal.
But if I've got a 2,000 foot distance between stop signs, and there's the backside of houses on one side and the backside of a school, and there's no on the other side, and there's nobody around.
Are you just jealous because you want a golf cart of your own?
If you had one, no,
you could have races. Are these old people or young people in your neighborhood?
I want speed limit removed from any road I'm on while I'm on it. That's what
it boils down to. Just get real close and scare them a little bit.
I also
they'll think twice about driving in your neighborhood.
I've told you that I want to be. I should have the right. I should be able to have a disruptor installed in my car. Do you know what that is?
If it has anything to do with like ninja stars or a flamethrower or
Star Trek,
James Bond style coming out of the bumper, I'm all for it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, mine is not. That's too. I'm talking about like a disruptor ray, like from science fiction, right? Where I press a button and you are turned into atoms and float away.
Nah, that's too clean.
Eyes.
You need something more. You need something a little messier. It's too,
A bazooka. I know for you it'd be a bazooka.
I'm thinking of like, you know how in James Bond on the wheels they have like saws that come out when you get to the car next to you. You can saw their car in half, something like that.
Only if I could have all of that stuff on a Aston Martin. That would be DB5. That would be the right car.
Well, you can get
for that.
What is it, Aston Martin? Aston? You get a golf cart version of that.
Oh my God, I'm in too good a mood today. It must be the constant pain in my neck from this surgery I had. It's making me delirious.
Do you want to hear? You want to hear a little bit from our former president? Keeping some presidential news. Let's see.
Let's hear what he says.
We're entering an era in which our enemies can make it look like anyone is saying anything at any point in time, even if they would never say those things. So, for instance, they could have me say things like, Killmonger was right, or Ben Carson is in the sunken place, or, how about this, simply, President Trump is a total and complete dipshit.
I know that's not...
You see, I would never say these things, at least not in a public address, but someone else would. Someone like Jordan Peele. This is a dangerous time. Moving forward, we need to be more vigilant with what we trust from the internet. That's a time when we need to rely on trusted news sources. It may sound basic, but how we move forward in the age of information is going to be the difference between whether we survive or whether we become some kind of fucked up dystopia. Thank you. And stay woke, bitches.
You were buying into it for a minute.
That's awesome. Well, it took me a minute to figure out.
It looks better. That's the Obama deep fake. It looks better when you see it because it's actually Obama giving a speech and address somewhere, and it's that dude's voice.
Is it? And that's Jordan Peele doing it. Huh?
Yeah, you know that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, those deep fake things are scary, dude. They look real.
That's coming. I mean, I don't think they're too widespread yet, but they're coming.
Can we get a deep fake of the boil exploding from your neck? Like, can we get that superimposed or something in our low budget production?
You might see it just happen live here. So. 300,000 today, dude.
All right, awesome. Still a lot of zeros. Divided into 330 million.
You should be happy. What is it? 1%?
Not even. It's like almost way less than 1%. Not even that, I don't think.
Oh my God! I'm just there's a browser on my other screen. I can see that.
You're getting the don't. You know what? Where the light is at the end of the tunnel until it's not. Because I think. I mean, listen.
The light's at the end of the tunnel until it's not.
No, here's where I'm going with this. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but in the world of this crazy, irrational groupthink, anybody who doesn't repeat the mainstream narrative, gets accused of being a conspiracy theorist. But we have this vaccine. And so even people in the news are saying, the light is at the end of the tunnel. The vaccine is here in a couple of months. We're all going to be back to normal. But they're going to change the narrative and they're going to move the fucking goalposts again like they always do. And you're going to hear things like, well, not enough people are taking it, so we don't have enough protection in communities. We still have to keep our COVID guard up to... you name it. It's not as effective as we thought. It doesn't prevent against a reoccurrence. So we'll get through the spring, the summer, then next fall we'll get more COVID bullshit. I'm telling you, global government control is being crammed down our throats.
Do you know when you're going to hear that not enough people are taking the COVID?
When
not enough people take the COVID.
They're saying,
you know, when you're going to hear not enough people are taking the vaccine, when not enough people take the vaccine.
What does that mean when they say, there's still when we, it's more of a case-demic than it is of a pandemic because it's all about cases now. But when we hear cases aren't subsiding enough, enough people must not be taking the vaccine. I mean, where do we end this fucking nonsense?
I don't know. I do have COVID fatigue.
No shit. And that's what I'm.
Can you get a test for that?
Yes. We're all
What
positive.
What do you think, Travis? Don't you think that now that there's a vaccine in distribution, and that's going to just take the time it's going to take, and hopefully it all goes good. I mean, they've tested the one that's available minimally on 30,000 people, right? And they found no major problems with health risks. They're going to be distributing out at something like the first 2.2 million or something shit like that. So once you start putting this vaccine into 2 million people, that changes the possibility to see some kind of side effect or reaction.
And then so they're going to say, oh, there was a reaction and there's some negative side effects, so we have to halt the vaccinations and therefore keep your COVID guard up. It's bullshit. Here's what I think. Even if there is side effects, if it saves one life, I don't care. Take it. Give it to people. I mean, if the side effects themselves aren't killing people, if the vaccine doesn't fucking kill you,
if it didn't kill someone out of a 30,000 person sample, you're not going to see anything.
Right.
Right. It's not going to happen. But I guess what I was going to ask you about is testing. So the vaccine is coming. There's nothing we can do to make it any faster. It's already way ahead of any kind of predictions, right? It didn't take no 18 months to get the first vaccines out there. It's all good. There was some kind of, big development.
Are you giving Trump credit for that?
No, he's not a fucking an epidemiologist. He's not doing the research. I think the only person I can give credit for are the.
And then how come the Democrats wouldn't take it?
Yeah, the man and wife. What's the name of the company that worked with Pfizer? Bio something shit. It's the German company that worked. Pfizer did nothing, right? Pfizer.
Oh, I think it's I think they own that company. I know what you mean. Okay,
yeah. So they're the ones that get the credit. They found this mRNA something. They found the new way to do this. Because there was a need to get it done faster, right? It has nothing to do with Trump. Absolutely nothing.
I say that because all the fucking crazy liberals were saying, we're not going to take this vaccine if Trump says it's safe because we don't trust him. And I said all along, he's not making it. What do you fucking care?
He tried to fuck it up at the last minute. So there's the FDA here in the United States, and before the FDA could authorize the emergency use for this and start the distribution today, there's a council, right? You remember hearing about that the middle of last week?
Yeah.
And so that night the council meets, and so they don't, by the end of business, they don't come out with a recommendation because they're still working on it a little bit, right? It's important. They need to make sure this is right. And so
it's right enough.
Trump puts out a tweet about how they should be fired and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. So then they come out and say, okay, it's good. We're going to recommend to the FDA. So then there's like, well, Trump managed to make it look like there was political pressure put on him. And that's just the kind of stupid shit that I'm going to be saying bye-bye to pretty quick.
Why are you surprised? That's all Trump ever did well was to fire people.
My God, I can't wait, man.
It's because, again, I think people even like Kamala Harris would say, we're not going to take the vaccine just because Trump says it's safe. And my point was, he's not making it. He's not in the one in his basement making the vaccine. So,
well, here's the thing: he is such a liar. Has committed so many lies and falsehoods to record. I don't even like that term, falsehood. Sounds like alternate fact for the word lie. It's just a fucking lie. And the guy is such a liar that him saying, go take the vaccine is just not a good thing. Just shut the fuck up. Nobody needs Donald Trump to tell him anything.
Why is it? First of all,
he's only the president in technicality now.
But him saying take the vaccine, of course, is good because any sitting president, let me back up and say this. Whoever was in the White House at the time of COVID, the vaccine would have been with us. It would have been developed in the same time frame. So it's not Trump who did it.
Right.
It would have been whoever was here.
Right.
And any person in that seat should say to take the vaccine because there's a large group of people that are afraid to take it. They're already saying that. And even Biden, I agree with his comment where he said, he was on some stage, I think last week, saying, I will take it. And I think it's important because he's an old fuck, and old people are afraid of everything. So he's saying,
Right.
I think it's important for me to get up there and show that I will take it. It's safe. I trust it, and I won't die. And I think that's an important message for the sitting prepresident. So,
It's good for him to say it.
Yeah, of course.
I just think that I just don't think it matters what Trump says now. In fact, it might only do it harm, but that's fine.
It's funny, and I really appreciate that you're giddy about it. You're excited. I can see it in your face, and it's good to have you back because. And I think we've told people the origin of this podcast is that you and I would have these deep conversations, mostly politically rooted, but all things. I mean, all this shit we talk about, society, everything. And we would have these conversations, I think, before Trump, and then we used to laugh about it back then because, this guy could clearly never become president. Nobody ever thought he would be. And then even after he was president, I think, you were probably in shock for a good, 6 months. And then it became, time to just get on the other side of that and the reality of that for you. But now that we're past that and, the election was legit, he lost. And so that's it. We're going to have a new president. And at least you have some of your giddiness back. So
I do. And here's what I'm going to concentrate from this point going forward. I'm reading another book. It's called How Democracies Die. That's the book that I'm reading now. I'm probably through the introduction, the first chapter or something like that.
Did they talk about they die because the liberals kill capitalism? Is that in there?
No, but you know what? In an upcoming podcast, I do want to have a serious not today, but in an upcoming podcast, I do want to have a serious discussion with you about capitalism and what it really is and what it really isn't. And it has nothing to do with democracy necessarily, but democracies die now mostly through voting. Stupid shit in countries like
California,
voting someone like Trump in. No, like voting someone like Trump in. That kind of move has been fatal for democracy many times in the past century or so, and it's very interesting to read about how it happened in other countries. And the book is. I have only read a small part of it, so I look forward to telling you more about that. But I think there are warnings in this book that are going to be valuable. Because then they're going to be very applicable, even though Trump's out of office, because this stuff is not going away.
And it's not unique,
quite the way we wish it would.
And it's not unique to Trump. And I think I've made this reference before, but I believe when you look at the map of the world, you look at the geographical boundaries of countries around the world, I think this is the longest period in our history where there hasn't been a major change in a country, a major country or a border around the world due to somebody seceding or a war or a combination of both. So we're ripe for change, I think.
Yeah, not here though.
Why not? We're not immune to it.
Oh, we do not want. Look, you don't want. I mean, I'm gonna make an assumption. You can correct me if I'm wrong. You do not want to see democracy fail in the United States.
No. But I think, and it'll be interesting to see what you glean from this book, or what the lessons are. But I think change has got to be kind of an underlying theme. But there's a couple things when you have change. How about this for a phrase of the day? You either change or be changed by change. Chew on that with your wooden teeth.
Okay, that's good. I guess I'm far enough past the horrific, corrosive shitstorm that has been Donald Trump to actually laugh, have a little bit of sense of humor at something like that, because there was a time where that would just not be enough.
Yeah, I know, but
make me laugh.
Things are, so we'll get your book report later, but
yeah,
I think just people, culture. It's the forcing of ideas, and that's what I believe. I think above all else, I don't like being told what to do, and I don't tell people what to do. I think that should be. I think that is a major principle of how I think government should work. That goes along with how I think there should be smaller government. I think everything should be, pulled through by markets. That's why I'm a fan of capitalism. So I think ultimately when you have one group of people telling another group of people how to live and work and breathe and everything in between, that's when shit fucking blows up.
I don't think I could disagree with that. I will tell you something that I already knew, and I'm is being reinforced by some of the reading I'm doing right now. Is that, and I said this before, and it's going to be more important going forward than it has been. We've gotten through this period. This was frankly a close call. Trump he has such authoritarian tendencies. He's such a wannabe dictator, and the fact that he just doesn't give a damn about the United States or democracy or anybody except him.
Yeah, that's true. He's still
right.
Yeah.
And so that's good that we made it through that. That wasn't a given. I think we said that a few times, and it's going to be incumbent.
He's not going quietly.
Look, here's the thing. He has to be denounced roundly, and this anti-democratic.
Well, today was
nonsense.
a big day, right? With the Electoral College officially.
I think it's a big day.
I mean, it doesn't get any more official than that.
Going forward, right? We have got to people pro-democracy, people that are pro-democracy for this country need to band together and keep the shit out of the house like Donald Trump. We can't. This is not something that can happen again or in 2024. So that's what I'm going to tell you guys.
Well, we're running out of time that we can still hear from Trump because his time is limited. So I titled this clip "Trump blah blah." So I don't remember. I don't even remember what it is.
Number one, the vaccine's going to start rolling. What is going to be going through your mind as FedEx, UPS, those flights go to 600 separate sites in all 50 states, a vaccine rolling in? What's going to be going through your mind?
If I wasn't president, according to almost everybody, even the enemy, if I wasn't president, you wouldn't have a vaccine for 5 years, okay? I pushed the FDA and companies and everybody else involved like nobody's ever been pushed before, and now you have it rolling out. And frankly, they could have done it last week. They could have even done it a week sooner, and they heard from me. But this has been a really medical miracle. They call it a medical miracle. And it's going to have a tremendous impact. 95% effective. We have Moderna coming out next week very soon. We have Johnson & Johnson, a one-shot vaccine coming out. All great companies.
What about an aid package?
To be honest with you, I'm impressed that he knows all that shit. Everybody always talks about how he doesn't read, the security reports and everything else. He rattled off all these companies. He knew which ones were single dose and double dose. I give him credit for that.
6 facts he got right out of 4 years. Oh my God!
But I mean, he's so clearly taking credit for that, which you know
what? Here's the thing. I think I would probably try to rail against that, but I don't think anybody with a fucking brain in their head thinks he had anything to do with it.
No, I know.
Right? No,
I hope not.
I mean, the classic is that Pfizer is part of Warp Speed, right? They did this they didn't get the guarantee from the U.S. government. They didn't take it. They didn't participate. They're not part of it. The first one out has nothing to do with the U.S. government. It came out in Europe, right? So nothing to do with Cheeto.
You want to hear more of him?
Yeah, sure.
For the American people,
moving along.
What could you do to get the $900 billion out?
Well, I want to do it. I'm pushing it very hard. And to be honest with you, if the Democrats really wanted to do the deal, they do the deal. They should do it right now. I want to see checks going for more money than they're talking about going to people.
The Hunter Biden this week has confirmed 2 investigations.
I want to say something about this.
Yeah.
Hey, so here's the deal, right? I want everybody I want the relief package to get out too. And I want it to be for as much money as we can print as far as that goes, right? But here's what I don't want to see happen. You're not going to like this, so let me just say that.
Lay it out. I don't.
Let me
go for it.
presuppose. There's no way in fucking hell that there should be any relief from liability for employers.
Yeah, talk to me about this. I'm not sure I understand what they're saying.
Okay, so let's say that I'm the employer, right? Mike's Widgets.
Yep.
And
no,
I haven't
Mike's
done
Pharmaceuticals. Don't sell yourself short.
My new business, when I go over to People's and get a franchise from those guys, I might as well do something I know about in my retirement. So here's the thing. So I am not willing as an employer to do anything, right? I'm not putting up the plastic between the workers. I'm not making them social distance. I'm not making people wear masks. I'm not cutting down shifts. I'm not doing nothing. I'm just pumping out my meat sausage or whatever the hell I'm making. And I don't apparently give a shit how many people get COVID in my place of employment.
You're talking just employees, right? Not customers?
Yeah, employees, right? And when employees get it, they want to pass some kind of release of liability for those employers, and that is just that's a red
So let me
line.
understand the money that's being negotiated. Which this is the thing about all politics. There should whatever you're trying to pass, a bill, money on any subject, COVID or not, should just be this or that. The fact that they put other shit in any of these bills to me is criminal in our fucking way of doing things. But what you're saying is the latest round of relief has, what is it, 900 something billion, and amongst the sticking points at this moment
should be $5 trillion, right?
Well, you say it should be. That's a whole other thing. All
right, go ahead.
So we have.
I don't care. I don't care if they do 900 million now and then do another. I don't care.
But the reason why one of the major sticking points now is that I'm assuming what the Republicans are saying, we want employer liability protection in case their employees get COVID. Now, so are they putting it in, or who's the one putting it in and who's the one against it?
So Republicans want the liability protection, and the Democrats saying no. And
so the Republicans are putting it in, or Democrats are putting it in and Republicans are saying no? Who's the one?
Here's the thing. Employer liability already exists, right? I mean, employers are liable for stupid shit they do which negatively
shouldn't
affects
happen.
Their employees.
That's part of the reason people, like places like California, we talk about this all the time, is such a ridiculous state to do business in, and it's the reason why more people are leaving California than coming here, and they're all going to Texas, and they're beating me to
Goodbye. Get the fuck out.
Hey, I'm on the short list too, man. I'll be out of here at some point.
Well, I can still talk to you over. Look, when you're in Texas, it'll still look just like this.
I know. You know what? We have the advertising money pouring in, so when we set up the Couch Funeral Studios, we'll have to pick a home base. But
there's a new supersonic plane coming.
Scramjet.
One. Yeah. So go on.
Okay, so and that's what I thought. I heard kind of some sound bites, but I didn't fully understand, what was going on. So is it just they want complete, for lack of a better term, to be shielded from that? I mean, the other side of that argument, though, is we know a lot about COVID, but there's a lot of things we don't know. So how do you know if an employee gets it at your place of work? Like, can't you see why the employers would want to say, hey, wait a minute, we don't want to, hang on, hear me out. Can't you see why the employers, because you referenced some things that I think are commonplace that we've all seen as we patronize these businesses, the plastic shields, the safety equipment, all of that. So it's one thing if an employer doesn't do any of it and just literally says, fuck off, I'm not doing it, I don't buy into it.
Right.
But on the other side, how do you know if an employee got the COVID at your business?
Well, I think in not a lawyer, but I think that
you're the doctor, I'm the lawyer.
That's right. So the liability for employers already exists. It's already there.
But that doesn't. You use this example on something else. I don't remember another conversation we were talking about. Oh, I think it was the Uber thing, and. But,
you don't want to get me started.
No, I'm not. But you're right. The liability already exists. But a lot of things exist doesn't mean they're right. Okay.
Right. But I think employer liability for
negligence. I'll throw out the
Negligence.
word. I'll throw out the word negligence. But
Yeah.
I asked you a question because I'm curious
Yeah.
of your perspective. You own the widget shop or
Right.
the pharmacy store, and all your employees say, "Hey, we got COVID. It's your fault." How you're the owner? Don't you understand why the owners might say, "Well, wait a minute. How do you know they got it here? They're out super spreading. They're out traveling and not telling me that they traveled. They are inviting people to their homes. How do you know? How do you know?
I don't know.
So you can
I
see
don't
why
know the answer to that.
But so you can see why they would push back on a blanket.
Well, here's what I can see. I can see why Mitch McConnell would want to go ahead and try to leave all of the people that so desperately need help from the government that they deserve, that who have had their businesses stolen from them, have had lost their jobs through no fault of their
my
own.
question.
Right? I can see why Mitch McConnell would once again, as he did in the first package, try to make the whole goddamn relief thing just some kind of big win for the donor class.
So this
and
is my
for
question.
Fuck
do you
him.
know? Chill out. It's not about Mitch McConnell. Take a breath. You and your Boyle, take a breath. Did the Republicans put this in, and they're the ones saying, "Hey, you either allow us to keep this in," or did the Democrats put it in, and the Republicans are saying, "Hey, wait a minute, no, this is about money to the people, and you're trying to railroad this employer protection thing in here." Who put it in?
So.
That's what I'm wondering.
No. This is so the employer protection thing is a Republican ask. That's what they want.
So they're the ones, they got this, whatever the terms they agree to, the money, and then they're saying, "Hey, by the way, we want this employer protection provision in there."
Right.
Okay.
It's been part of the
All right.
package.
Well, hey,
from the
listen, I can
beginning.
see why you'd be pissed off about that, or why anybody who can see, hey, we've agreed to the terms, we've agreed to the money, but this is the reason why it's going to fail. I can understand that from the political stage, and I can understand why people would be pissed off and blame the Republicans. But what I can't understand is why anybody would not at least acknowledge that for employers it's a gray area, right?
But I think that the reasonable protections, the burden of proofs are there, and they're already established in law. And they're
Not for
they're not any
COVID, it's
different.
brand new.
They're not any different, Travis. Just take COVID out of the situation. There's no situation ever where it would be a good idea to give employers some kind of blanket shield against liability from abusing their employees.
Yeah, but
that's just not good. That's not a good idea.
But that's not what we're saying. Anybody
It surely is.
No, absolutely not, because COVID is a different world. And what you're saying, I mean, listen, you and I both know the reality is employers will then have to restrict you in a way that employees will not like. And you and I both know that. And if we're, for example, employers can say,
I think I can agree to that.
If you're
I
a
think
private,
I agree with you on that.
So
Nobody's going to like it.
Yeah, and employers can say to you, you have to get the vaccine before coming back to work. So let's say you're one of these people who is adamant, I'm not going to take the vaccine, but you also are
fired.
Right, but so you've put yourself in a compromising position. Or let's say an employer says,
"Wait, explain that one to me."
You're going
to
lose your job. So you want these employers to be required to be somehow liable and to protect your rights to not get the COVID from that business, even though that's almost impossible to prove. And so one of the ways that the employer is going to react to that is say, you're going to get the vaccine.
Yeah, I don't know what employer wouldn't say you're going to get the vaccine. I mean, I can't figure out.
But you know what employee wouldn't take it. That's the point. There's going to be, I don't know how many thousands of people in this country won't take it.
Too bad.
They're going to lose their jobs over it.
Zero sympathy for those people. I'm not.
I agree with you too. I don't have sympathy for them either.
Yeah, anti-vaxxers are idiots.
They are.
Okay?
They are idiots. But don't you see this is a totally unintended consequence of this argument, or the fact that employers will have to say to you, "Hey, guess what? On your private time, you can't travel. You can't go," and they're already doing that. I think I told you for my kids' school, if we travel, they sent out notices to all the families that if we travel over the holidays out of the state, that we have to quarantine when we come back. We can't go back to school. I think they just lowered it.
Your kids.
My kids. and they lowered it to align with the CDC recommendation.
10 days.
Was it 10 days?
10 days,
Right.
yeah.
But they can now control what we do in our private lives if we want to be a part of that school. And same thing with employers. They can now tell you what to do, what you can do in your private life. And I believe that employees don't want that. But they're not even thinking about that shit. So be careful what you ask for.
That's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, so let's just back it up a little bit. The thing where the employer, I mean, I'm trying to figure out what it is you're for or against here. Do you want the employers to have this shield, or you don't?
Well, here's what I would say specifically.
Or you don't think that the existing laws and so forth give employers enough protection?
I'm going to tell you how to
already?
handle it. I'll tell you how to handle it. What you do, you give people the money right now.
I can't wait. Go ahead.
You give people the money right now.
Yeah.
And you don't argue about anything. It's just about the money. Nobody puts in anything on the other side. There's no employer protection. There's no whatever the fucking whiny Democrats want. Nobody gets anything. It's just money.
Okay.
That's it.
Right.
And then separately, independent of the money, you figure out what other challenges we need to solve because they're actual problems. So in other words, do we have a wave of litigation, employer liabilities coming because people are getting sick and they're suing? I don't know, not yet, but we will. And because I told you I'm a lawyer, I saw this from early on. I can already see false workers' compensation claims. I'm sensitive to that shit because of how we live in California. Employers are always wrong unless proven innocent. It's the complete opposite of how the criminal justice system should be.
I totally understand all that. Yeah.
So to answer your question, there shouldn't be any of this in the bill. It should just be money. But the question I posed is, to you specifically and to others, can't you see why employers would be concerned about that? Because they already get blamed for everything. And specifically about COVID, how do you know where the people got it from? You don't.
Well, the fact is that, some COVID infections can be traced, right, back to their sources. So know that. And that's from the doctor.
That's from the doctor telling me.
Yeah. So
Dr. Watkins.
They take a culture and they can trace some of that stuff back. So there are more protections than you might think. And I think that there are already, the burden of proof and so forth about these kind of liability suits are kind of already there. I see the potential for some problem. I do. And I agree with you though that they need to get the money out, and it's way more important at this point than that problem. And here's the thing where I don't agree with you at all. Mitch McConnell doesn't give a fuck.
I didn't say he did.
Well, I mean, it's not the employers that are saying this. It's just the Republicans.
Well, their constituents didn't ask for that.
It's just them.
Well, I don't know what they asked for. I don't have
most
an
of their
argument.
constituents. Most of their constituents asked for Trump to upend the entire election and just throw it all out and just make him king. So
doesn't it
who
make
really
you
gives a shit what
question that the Democrats aren't? So I haven't read the language. I've heard that catchphrase. So I don't think anything should preclude an employer from negligence. And so
I think that's where you leave it.
Yeah, and I don't know what's in the bill.
If you can't prove negligent, there's nothing. I mean, here's what's in the bill. You're off the hook. It's a get out of jail free card. You have no liability. Look, it's
does
right
it say
now,
liability for people getting COVID at work, or just your employees coming down with COVID?
That's what it's for. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it's for COVID claims, right?
Right. But is it, you have 100 employees and 10 of them get the COVID, or 10 of them got it at your place of work?
Then they have to prove that you did something negligent that resulted in them getting it.
That's what I think.
I am never going to be in favor of doing anything that changes that.
Meaning,
right?
If you were negligent?
Yeah, if an employer's look, if 10 employees out of your 100 or whatever the number is get COVID, they have to prove that they got it because of your negligence. And if they can prove that, then they should be compensated and you should be punished.
But if you've done all the safety provisions, you've limited capacity, you have the plastic up, the PPE, and then those, again, 10 people get it and the rest of your staff doesn't, where's the burden of proof?
Yeah, well, the burden of proof is going to be on the person making the accusation.
And if that's the case, I would say that's probably a better thing to support. But that's not how it is with things like workers' comp.
Let's get a lawyer.
I know a couple. We should bring some on the podcast.
We should. Is Doug a lawyer?
Doug, can you serve in a capacity as a lawyer when we have you on the podcast?
Well, now that you're in another state where it's obviously easier to get state licenses, please give us your legal opinion on this. Well, that's a good question. Although I think that, it's just, once again, this is a demonstration of the completely bankrupt, broke Republican Senate, just pandering to the donor class.
But hang on, every time I say this, you have a conniption fit over it. But both sides do it. Am I not mistaken? Where at some time in the past, the Democrats put some bill in there for marijuana legalization or something else that had nothing to do with the actual money to the people? Do you remember hearing something about that?
Sounds familiar. Yeah.
Well, that's just as fucking ridiculous.
I'm going to just flat out agree with you right there. Just get the fucking money.
You see how we could solve the problem if we were making the decisions?
Well, shit. That's why another reason why I should have the disruptor ray installed in my car, because obviously I have the judgment to decide who should be incinerated because they drive like a stupid fucking.
I would support your cause for the disruptor ray, but I would put a cap on how many people you could disrupt in a calendar year. Like, I'll give you no more than 100.
Why would you, of all people, want to put a cap on the people I'm calling out of the herd?
Because you might thin my herd.
I'm just gonna make you a promise here right now. I'm never gonna thin your herd.
Appreciate it.
Among other things.
Let's see what Babblemouth
on him, one on Jim Biden. The word is you're disappointed that William Barr knew about this in the spring.
Well, everybody is. Who isn't disappointed?
Right.
Joe Biden lied on the debate stage. He said there's nothing happening, and Bill Barr should have stepped up. I'll tell you what, say what you want about Robert Mueller. When BuzzFeed put out a phony article, I think it was BuzzFeed, but BuzzFeed put out a phony article, Bob Mueller stepped out and he said that article was a phony, and then it was ultimately proven no collusion. After 2 years, no collusion. But Bob Mueller
I just love the way he says that.
Stood up and he interjected that this article was false. Bill Barr should have done the same thing.
Jonathan Turley said that he had no choice. That he would have been like James Comey again.
All he had to do is say an investigation's going on. And by the way, I don't want to see anything bad happen to Hunter Biden. Whatever it is the facts. But I don't want to see anything bad happen to Hunter Biden. And I purposely stay out of it. But when you affect an election, Bill Barr, frankly, did the wrong thing. When they are saying things, making statements, and the press is purposely not reporting it, Bill Barr, I know, had an obligation to set the record straight, just like Robert Mueller set the record straight. He set it straight. A very bad thing was said, and it was a false article, a false statement, which, usually they are with the media. But this was a false statement. And Robert Mueller stood up and he said that is a false statement. And that was a great thing.
So, he said a mouthful there.
God.
But
God, how can Bill Barr has been his lapdog dick sucking.
That's why I think it's ironic, because this is his MO, right? He turns on all of his people.
Oh, look, don't think I have any sympathy for Bill Barr. I don't care. But everybody knows that that's the case. What you just said, he's turned on everybody that he can. I don't know what to say. I can't. It couldn't happen to a bigger piece of shit than Bill Barr. I've hated him since the moment he came on the scene, and he sacrificed his. We can only assume, Travis, he didn't care. He sacrificed his reputation, his legacy.
They all know what they're getting into.
I guess he was well thought of, and he's some kind of fucking zealot about this stuff, about the Supreme Court and about about presidential power being expanded. So whatever. I really didn't expect that. And who's going to? So what's going to happen now? Is he going to try to appoint somebody in the
I don't know.
for the next 32 days or whatever's left?
Hey, would anything surprise you at this point?
Oh my God! Just look, folks. Let's just get with it, okay? We got 4 years to get the message across that no anti-democratic horseshit from Republicans or any other party is going to be tolerated.
You mean anti-democratic in the political sense, not the party sense?
Yeah, you could be anti the Democratic Party if
Thank
you
you.
want to. But I mean, it's just a smart move on the part of the Democrats to name their party Democrats. I don't know what to say, but there'll be more. I'll have more.
Hey, it was the founders who said we need to have a Republican government.
That's right. It's fun. Those two names.
Hey, they're the founders. You can't beat that.
That's the other thing. I've been reading some of the names of past political parties in different countries, over the years, and it's pretty fascinating how many variations on a theme there are. And I know some of them suffer from translation because, but there's Sweden was real controversial for a while there. I mean,
if you were a political party, what would the name of your party be?
A good question, and I don't have an answer, but that's a good one because there's been some great names. So had I not read all these names from these different, and you can't tell one from the other. I mean, you can have two parties in pre-Hitler Germany, and you think they're both Nazis.
Yeah, like the Industrial Workers Party, We Hate Hitler Party.
And I think it was Sweden. I'll have to verify this fact, but Sweden, one of the classic names of the political party was the Catholic Party. The Catholic Party. So I don't even know I can't remember now what they were for.
Well, it's like a band name, right? I mean, you take a popular band and then you piggyback off of their name, like the Who and the Guess Who.
Who done it?
Yeah.
And the Hoodoo.
Guns N' Roses.
Uh-huh.
And then
Guns N' Roses.
LA Guns.
LA Guns. Guns N' Roses Democrats. The Guns and how about
Guns
the Guns and
Democrats?
Republicans? Yeah. Oh my God. So,
what do you think about all these musicians selling their music catalogs? You reading these stories?
Only story I heard was Bob Dylan's catalog sold to somebody, and they never said how much. Although the figure that was bantered around was
like $300 million
to $400 million.
There's a lot of big names. Him, I think Stevie Nicks. I read.
Oh yeah,
Dolly Parton. I think.
You're not going to be able to spend the money when you're dead. I mean,
yeah, why do it now? These fuckers are so old. If you're going to sell your music catalog, do it when you still have some life left.
Well, they still got time to, call up the old dealers and, get plenty of coke and go out in a big way. They got plenty of time for that.
But in rock star years, if you're, I don't know how old Bob Dylan is.
He's old, man.
Is he in his 70s?
He's got to be in his 80s.
Is he in his 80s?
Bob Dylan.
So he's on borrowed time.
Well, they're all
for a rock star.
Stevie Nicks
is probably 70.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I don't have a good thing up here to check.
Dolly Parton. There's probably more names. You're a music fan. Parton. I figured you would know some of this stuff.
Hey, you know what? I particularly on purpose don't try to memorize how old these names from my youth are because there's a connection. And if they're older and dirt, then I'm just dirt minus a couple of years.
Were you a Bob Dylan fan?
I've always admired Bob Dylan, and I always, and there are certainly some songs that I'm quite fond of. I mean, was I like a huge Bob Dylan? Did I give a shit if he played an electric guitar or an acoustic guitar? I don't care. That, did I lose my mind when Bob Dylan did an electric album? Please, there's more important things. Right? So no, and it's a real weird thing he's got going on there.
Yeah,
so
I don't get that.
He can't sing for shit anymore. I mean, the few times I've heard him live in the last 10 years, it's been terrible. But nobody will ever recreate what he did. As far as, I mean, he practically invented the protest song, and there's a whole lot of, intensity in the lyrics, and so from a, he's that rare combination of poet and musician, right? And more poet than musician.
Was he doing protest songs before, like Crosby, Stills and Nash and shit like that?
Yeah, way before them. I mean, he was part of the New York beat scene. He was the. I'm not like it's about time to watch some kind of detailed, autobiography on his life. I've seen a few things, and I just remember a few things. But
usually those things are reserved for when you die. Then we all get interested and want to know about your life.
Yeah. So who's died recently?
Musician wise?
Yeah,
I don't know. I haven't heard any big names. There's a couple I think, I wouldn't be sad if you knock them off. You could put them in your incinerator, Ray.
Are you a big? So I still don't even have. You like hard rock, right? That's your thing, right? So
I like everything.
Yeah. You got a wide selection of music that you enjoy, right? I mean, you like jazz to some degree, or not?
I do. I can't say that there's any jazz names that I know in particular, but I love jazz. You
know what's fun when you I was always like that with jazz, right? And then a few years ago, I decided to just try to become a little more sophisticated about jazz. And so, there's some names, that you I mean, you can't know everybody in every genre, but I mean, in and I'm going to forget them all now, but in jazz, there's a few, John Coltrane and there's a few names that you can just, I don't know, just Google it and then listen to some of the music. It's pretty cool. And then, here's the one. Like,
how about mariachi? You like mariachi?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have heard mariachi music. I like.
How about
I'm not a huge fan?
I didn't even set you up for this, but are you gonna miss? Like Trump, he has some talents. We just mentioned for his ability to recall certain things. What about when he, in the last 4 years, learned Spanish?
Trump.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
All right.
You must have a clip for this.
This is a country where we speak English, not Spanish.
And I think while we're in this nation, we should be speaking English.
He didn't want you people hearing it, so he made the speech in Spanish. No, it's true. Is he better in English or Spanish? But they didn't stand for the English, and they stood for the Spanish. Come here. You're not nervous, right? Speaks perfect English.
I'll say it brief version in English.
I like it better in Spanish.
I like it too.
We love Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. And we also love Puerto Rico.
They basically had a silencio attitude, silence.
They were silent, silencio.
When we have the laws changed, it'll be like perfecto.
We want to make it perfecto.
Perfecto. Perfecto.
These people, they've gone crazy. They've gone loco.
The Fed is going loco.
They've gone loco.
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 Loco. But that's okay. I use that word because of the fact that we made a deal with Mexico.
If I could meet Castro right now, I'd have personally 2 words for him. Adios, amigo.
There you have it.
God, I think those are the 2 words that the current Castro in Cuba has for him too.
Yeah, I think there might be
Adios,
a little tail on the end of that.
Adios, motherfucker.
All right, dude. Have you had enough for today?
Well, it's time for me to dig into the delicious story of why Bill Barr is fucking out of here, and how happy everybody is that the Electoral College has spoken, and that our democracy carries on, and we got to this point. So, this has been a great day. So I guess this is going to go out tomorrow, huh? Is this one going to air tomorrow?
You know it. So we'll get it out there, and I'll let you get to your evening reading. So that's it for today. All right, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.